Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is episode 54. Shacknews presents Pop Goes the Culture. Yep, that is us. I am Donovan Erskine, news editor here at Shacknews. As always, joined by Greg Burke, our illustrious head of video. Is
Second.
mine? Is my mic coming through?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hold on. Probably just need to
Okay.
reset it. There we go. That was weird. Sorry about that.
Well, this is the wonderful Greg Burke. Seems like your Thursday's going pretty swell.
Swell. Do the kids still say that? It's the bee's knees. G
Yeah.
Willikers. I think I like G
hmm
Willikers the best.
G Willikers is good, and also one that I haven't heard in ages at this point. Um, but Greg, it's Thursday, which means it's time for good old pop goes the culture. We're going to talk movie news. We're going to talk TV news, all things entertainment outside of gaming. But we have a somber note to start off on, Greg, in a story that'll probably be a bit personal to you, but the great film director Ivan Reitman passed away this week at the age 75. Uh, known for, I mean, maybe most known for doing Ghostbusters, but also did a lot of other stuff throughout his career. But Greg, I imagine you might want to recognize Ivan Reitman
Yeah,
this week on the show.
Ivan Reitman. I mean, people. He's a household name. I mean, he'd worked with National Lampoon, and had his hands in so many different projects and films over the years, and not all of them were like super mega hits. Obviously, people remember him for things like Ghostbusters, but he also did Stripes, worked a lot with Harold Ramis on the side, and did a
Mhm.
lot of producing. But he also made some duds. He also did like Junior, if you remember that one. Not a great or the, not a great film.
Mhm. Yeah, I not sure how much of his work I'm familiar with. I know a lot of stuff his son does. Jason Reitman's done a bunch. Well, I mean, Ivan Reitman did some stuff that I really liked. Um, Kindergarten Cop, I've seen that. I really liked that movie. That was one I quite liked. I didn't know it hadn't been since 2014 was the last time he directed something. It was Draft Day.
He was
I
getting
didn't
old, and like
realize.
we're not sure how he died. His family said peacefully in his sleep, so they haven't, I don't think, officially released cause of death. To just, we can assume natural
Mhm.
causes because the family made a statement. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
75 isn't that old though. Like when I think about it, it's, I feel like it's rather young nowadays. Like you want to try to get to the triple digits before you die.
Yeah, people are definitely getting older, but I mean, I think it still had quite a life on him. But I was like, we can't not open the show without talking about great Ivan Reitman. Such an, I mean, you talk about his movie almost every every episode of our
This is
show,
true.
so
I do, yeah.
definitely a topical passing. Just one of many. Feels like a lot of very notable people in the movie world have passed in the early months of 2022. Um, Now, Greg, I teased it in our post about the show. I was like, we have a lot to talk about. Like, this is gonna be maybe not big show in length, but just like a deep show in like subject material because yesterday, and was it the day before? It was the day before yesterday on Tuesday. Paramount had their investor day, which in addition to talking about their financial performance and whatnot, they also outlined pretty much like everything that they're doing, and a big part of that was Paramount Plus. So we pretty much got a huge dump of news about stuff coming to Paramount
Yeah.
Plus, Greg. Yeah, a lot. It's too much. I mean, we could turn an entire show into just going through all these announcements, but we won't. We'll just talk about the big stuff, but just some to touch on some small stuff. Halo, the TV show, is getting a season two. Season one doesn't premiere till March, but I guess they like what they've seen so far. They've already renewed it for a second season. They confirmed that the new Transformers film, Rise of the Beast, comes out next year. And Greg, it's supposed to be part of a trilogy, so I don't know how you feel about the new Transformers films, but the Beast Wars film is coming next year. It's supposed to be a trilogy. Um, as much as I don't like the Transformers movies, I'm a bit optimistic on it just because I believe Stephen Cable Jr. is directing it, and he did Creed. I think he's a good director. Much rather him be in the saddle than Michael Bay. Um, But I guess we can stop there. Though I'm curious, what do you think about them doing a trilogy of Beast Wars Transformers films?
I mean, like I mean, you've heard me talk on the show before on this subject. I feel like they should maybe be a little patient, uh, instead of just like, oh, we're doing a trilogy. Why don't you do one and see how it does? But I don't think big
Yeah.
studios are wired that way anymore, because that's what it used to be in the 80s and 90s. Like, you do a film, and then if it did well, you'd get a sequel, but you'd have to wait months after it releases from the box office to get numbers. And now they're just like, well, we'll just do a trilogy. And I don't know. I mean, in certain cases, I think it works, like in Lord of the Rings. Like, he wants to do 3 movies, and he got to do 3 movies, Peter Jackson. But I don't know, for Transformers, it's had such a rocky, convoluted past. I mean, yeah, the movies made a crap ton of money, but I've watched them. They're awful. They're awful, mindless, shut your brain off films, right? So I kind of wish they wouldn't go that far. Just be like, let's do one and see how people will react to it. I don't know if you ever seen Bumblebee. Did you see Bumblebee?
I saw Bumblebee and I actually really like Bumblebee.
Yeah, I like it too. I mean, I don't like. Is it Haley Atwell?
Haley Steinfeld? You don't like Haley Steinfeld? I love Haley Steinfeld.
Something about her like bugs me. I mean, I don't know. Something just about her just rubs me the wrong way when I watch her on film and camera. I don't know what it is.
Disagree. I love Haley Steinfeld.
I'm not saying she's not talented. I'm saying this is a subjective thing. It kind of bugs me on that regard, but that's just a personal preference. It's nothing against her. I know she's watching this because we're so popular, so I'm sorry, Haley Steinfeld.
I wish if she was.
You're watching this.
Please hit me up. I know Valentine's Day was only a couple days ago.
But like the opening to that movie, the opening to that movie. That's the movie I want. Did you see the opening to Bumblebee? Like, I want that movie. Good. Can we have that movie? Like, it looked amazing. Like, it looked incredible. Like, it's funny because it doesn't set the tone for the film at all. But like, it's such a great opening.
It just gives you a glimpse into that world, like where he's coming from. It helps play to the whole fish out of water thing with Bumblebee, right? Where it's like that's where like Bumblebee's coming from, and now he's like in a suburban town in California with these humans. Like, it's such a black and white difference from his upbringing. But I don't know. Rise of the Beast comes out next year, and again, they're gonna do a trilogy. I mean, Transformers makes a bunch of money. I have no doubt in my mind that this new one is gonna make a bunch of money. So I get why they're announcing a trilogy, because they, even if it's not a great movie, they'll probably have the money to warrant a sequel regardless. Denny said I think they should do a Cybertron show. That'd be great. Only question I would have would be budget, because if you make like long form stuff like you had in like the first 5 minutes of Bumblebee,
the first 15,
that budget, that budget's gonna inflate really fast, and you can get creative and stuff, but like at some point they're gonna have to really crack open the wallet if that's the route they want to take. But again, I mean, it's not like Viacom CBS is running out of money, so I'm sure they can make it happen.
Or maybe they are. I don't know. People that have their hands in a lot of pots, it's really hard to tell when something loses money, because something could be a horrendous flop, but they have their hands in so many cookie jars they can make it up in other places. So I'm sure like the subsidiaries and the shell companies and everything that they use in all their different investments, there's got to be so much numbers everywhere. I can't even imagine what that looks like.
Yeah. No, it's true though, because I mean, like, think about it, like with I don't know, just a random example, like Universal. Like, if Universal puts out like an indie movie or like a smaller film that had like a 30 million budget or whatever, that's a lot for an indie. But let's say like they put out a movie like a 30 million budget, and let's say it only makes like 35 and it loses money, blah blah blah. But then like the last Fast and Furious movie made like $400 million, so like the money it makes up. Like I mean, at the end of the day, they're still definitely in the black. That's what it's in the black?
In the black is good, in the red is bad. Yeah.
I was gonna say in the green, but I think our news thread here of all Paramount Plus stuff, which they so kindly put in the Twitter thread for us. They also confirmed that Sonic 3 is already in development, and that's not the games, that's the movies. The next one comes out in April, it's still a couple of months out. But again, like Halo, they must like what they see. They're already working on the next one. But onto that, they're also developing a Knuckles series with Idris Elba that's going to come to Paramount Plus. Greg, I know you're not a fan of the at least the first Sonic movie. We haven't seen the second one yet. Thought the first one was okay. The Sonic 3 announcement isn't like big news to me. Like I figured they would do a third one. I imagine the second one will be popular. But I think the Knuckles series sounds interesting, because I'm like, what does a Knuckles show look like? Like, I don't know. I think Knuckles is so great as a side character, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see a show where it's just Knuckles and his rough and tough attitude out in the streets.
I mean, it may be very good. I mean, the first movie, I mean, was written so poorly. I really had a hard time carrying. But if you like Sonic, like then it doesn't matter if it written poorly or it gets sucked in or whatever, right? I don't have a problem with anything else with that film other than like the horrific writing. Uh,
Hmm.
but like yeah, so I have the second trailer running now. I mean, people love Sonic. I wish I understood the fascination with Sonic because I really don't understand that community. And like that's not just in the community. I mean, I want to understand them because I
It's
feel like
cool.
there's so many young kids who like their first game obviously wasn't Sonic on the Genesis. It was like Sonic Adventure 2 or even before that it's like Sonic Colors and it's such a rabid fan base. Is it because of furries? I don't know. Like I'm very undereducated about this community. Did the furries love
I
it? I don't know why. I don't know.
what I think a big part of it is, as somebody who I'm a Sonic fan, I grew up when I was a kid, like it was Sonic over Mario, no question. Like I didn't even play Mario games like that as a kid.
Hmm.
I was all Sonic. And I think a big reason why the fan base is so rabid nowadays is I feel like, and I could be totally wrong, but I almost feel like Sonic, the brand and its fans, or at least in recent years, had to develop like an underdog mentality, if that makes sense. Where it's like it was always like Sonic versus Mario, but like everyone always knew Mario was way better. Mario had way better games, and Nintendo was a way better developer and publisher. Uh, Sonic had some very dark years where it was either not getting games at all, or the games that were coming out were just downright awful.
Oh, and people get
Um,
so mad when you call it the bad games. They're like, that was one bad game, and they like your review got like
well,
flagged
that's
because you said like
yeah,
you didn't like the
Sonic. Oh yeah,
Sonic '06, and everyone just like hangs on that one sentence in the 20-minute
yeah.
review, and you're like, really? Like
Well,
it's so
it's
weird.
not I mentioned it. I didn't even say it was bad. I just said that I mentioned it. I was like, a lot of people don't like that game, and they're like, why are you mentioning that in a review for a different game? And I didn't have a problem with Sonic 06 because I was 8 and I didn't care. But no, I think it's that though. It's like that underdog mentality where it's like everyone shits on us, but we're not that bad. So I think that just kind of creates an environment there, and that's what we see today. I could be very wrong, but I don't know. But no, Sonic fans are very rabid. It's probably part of the reason why the first movie was so successful. Um, but I don't know. Danny's saying that Sonic and Knuckles had separate comic runs. I didn't know there was Sonic and Knuckles comics, but I should have because they make comics for everything. Uh, but no, it'll be cool. And I mean, they're doing a Sonic 3. I imagine if they keep with the trend of bringing more characters into the fold, maybe we get Shadow. Maybe that's like the post credit scene in the second one. It's like Shadow the Hedgehog rolling in on his skates with his Desert Eagle or whatever. There's still a crap ton of characters in that universe that they haven't even mentioned. So there's definitely source material there. Um,
Yeah, I don't trust if it's the same team that brought the first one to life. Like, I don't trust it. I mean, Jim Carrey is great in the first movie; he's fantastic. But the effects look great, but everything else is just like doesn't the reasons, the hows, the whys, like none of it works. None of it worked for me. I was just like, why are they best friends? They just I told you this. Remember, I was expecting them in the movie to pull out to be like, sis, we're best friends in the script, so I guess we should go to San Francisco together. You know what I mean? Like that's what it felt like because these people don't know how to write.
yeah, I guess.
They don't know how to
I
write a
guess
story.
I thought Ben Schwartz was a very good as Sonic. I think I like his as Sonic more than I like Jim Carrey's Eggman. I thought Jim Carrey was decent, but I think Ben Schwartz very much
Oh no, like
captures that
the
the
individual,
charm of
yeah,
the speedster.
yeah, the individual. There's individual sections of this movie that work really well. Like Jim Carrey's improv is great. I mean, Sonic's attitude is exactly like how he's like in the games. But it's like when you put it all in a blender. Like example, when you eat a burger and a fries and a shake, right? That's a great meal. So you want to eat the burger, the fries, and the shake. What you don't want to do is pour everything in a blender and drink it down. It's not the same. You know what I mean? I think the Sonic movie would have been better if they had
Yeah, it does
individual
that.
elements, that, and then they all get blended together, and you drink it, and it made a crap ton of money, but you know that just means it made a crap ton of money. That's how I say it. But
That's fair.
hi, Snowy Dog, thanks
Oh,
for the follow. Oh my god, a
yeah, I was
follow!
gonna
Hold
say,
on.
thank you,
Oh,
Stormy.
where's my Where's my air horn? We got to follow. Oh, I can't find
Thank
it.
you, Stormy Dog 06 for following the stream. Appreciate it. Uh, Again, moving further down this thread, we got some news on A Quiet Place. We already knew that they were making a third or another A Quiet Place movie. That's not being done by John Krasinski. I believe I forget the director that's doing it, but it's Michael Sarnowski. And then A Quiet Place 3 is coming in 2025. I like those movies a lot. I look forward to them all the time. I love the tense thrill of them. Greg, did you see A Quiet Place?
No, I didn't. I saw
Okay,
I
I
saw the
couldn't remember.
ending. I know what it's about. I saw endings to both
Yeah.
films and what it's about.
Mhm.
I know
Yeah,
it's it's pretty dark for a science fiction movie because spoilers. The first one he loses. The first one just opens with him losing his son. Right. That's the whole opening of the first film, which again conveys the
mm,
tone of your film. You know what I mean? Like,
one of the because yeah, that's
yeah,
good. I love it for like the sound design is so good in those movies. It's great. It's one of those movies where you watch and like when the characters on screen hold their breath, like you're holding yours, like not moving.
it
It sucks you in very well.
it
So I'm
reminded me
looking
a
forward
lot
to
of
more.
was it the movie with the puppets, the ghost, the cursed puppets. It was a horror film. I want to say it's don't scream or don't speak or hush or something like that. You know?
Well, there's a movie called Don't Breathe, but
No, no, no. This
those are
was a different one.
puppets.
It was about a town where like this ghost haunted it, and like if you opened your if you made any kind of noise, like she was able to like take your soul.
Oh,
It had like it was a
I don't think I've
ventriloquist.
heard
I
of that
forget
one.
what it was called, but it was very similar.
Okay, I'll have to look into that. Greg, they're making a Dungeons and Dragons movie. How do you feel about that?
Didn't they? It's already been done, and it was so terrible. They tried so hard, but it was so terrible.
Uh,
And with that one actor in it too, he was giving it his all. The villain in that film, I forget what the actor's name is. I'm gonna try to find it right now though. He's a very
yeah.
famous British actor. I think he's been knighted. Dungeons and Dragons. I always get tongue tied when we stream. I put dragons and dungeons. I don't think that's right.
No, I don't think so.
Do you know who I'm
Um,
talking about? The actor?
no, I have no clue. Unless you're talking about Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Jeremy Irons.
Oh yeah, no Jeremy Irons.
Yeah, dude,
Okay.
he gives it his all in this movie. In that movie, so oh,
Hmm.
but yeah, it was terrible. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. I mean, Dungeons and Dragons does have a resurgence, but I really think it works better in an animated form. But we'll see what they do. You know, we'll see how the characters
Yeah.
they craft and the story they tell, or if it's just like 27 chase scenes. I mean, that very well could be it. We're not
Hey,
sure.
X-Men. What's up? You didn't miss much at all. We're actually only on our second story. We're just talking about the Paramount Investor Day stuff. Right now, we're talking about the fact that they announced the Dungeons and Dragons movie,
No, so
which is
much.
interesting. I mean, the thing with Dungeons and Dragons is, I mean, it's a blank slate. Like they're like, no one's showing it to the theaters. Like they better do right by this character. They better not ruin this person. So like, you can make any character, wizard, whatever, any location, and it can still be very Dungeons and Dragons. Now we're getting to some of the more interesting stories here, Greg. Bikini Bottom. We're getting some more SpongeBob content. Three new, this is their words, three new SpongeBob character-driven movies are coming exclusively to Paramount Plus, and a big theatrical tentpole is in the works. That's a lot of SpongeBob. So what are we going like a Patrick movie, a Sandy Cheeks movie? Throw Larry the Lobster in there. What's his origin story?
I just feel really bad for the creator because he said he's like I'll die before any spin-offs get made, and he dies and then they make a bunch of spin-offs. Somebody is signing, somebody's getting paid, someone's getting huge checks written to them to do this.
Yeah, and it's weird because like, and I've seen like the reports where it's like, well, that he actually was talking with them about doing spin-offs and stuff before he passed and all that, which I get that, but I'm like still like, they're really going all in, man. They're telling me we're getting three spin-off character movies. Like I don't know, I love SpongeBob much as the next guy, but I don't know how much I care about like a Mr. Krabs movie or whatever
Yeah.
the hell
On top of
they've
that,
got going.
I've seen a lot of the movies and a lot of the feature length stuff, and I don't. It's like, oh, it's okay. Like the SpongeBob is at its best is like at the early seasons when there were a lot of subtle like jokes that maybe kids definitely wouldn't get, and then it kind of derailed into literally a kid show, which it always was a kid show, but it had that humor in it that kids sometimes would go over their head. Like they're laughing because this is happening, but the adults are laughing for different reasons. And that's smart. That's good writing, right? If you can entertain both children and adults, but it's gotten more and more kind of mainstreamed and more not I want to not controversial, but just less adult, like less adult humor,
Mhm.
and it just becomes like kind of like a laugh fest and a slapstick, and that's okay, I guess. But yeah, I don't know if I want more SpongeBob. I mean, haven't we run its course? I guess we're in season 33 of The Simpsons, so I guess not.
Plenty more content to be made. X-Men is the Gary the Snail adventure movie. Right, yeah, like, I'm very curious to see what these character-driven movies they've got coming.
Meow.
Um, Greg, a story that I am unironically excited about. no irony in my voice at all. Blues Clues is getting a movie. It's called Blues Big City Adventure, but they're bringing back all three hosts of the show to be in the movie. They've got the original. They've got Steve, the original host who did like went viral last year when he put out that like video of like talking about his life and stuff. They got Joe, who I remember a lot as a kid, and then also Josh, who was after my time, the most recent host they've had on there. They put out a picture, and it's like all three of them like on a sidewalk, um, in kind of modern clothing, still similar to like their looks in the show, and like blues on the ground. And I can't wait. We're getting like the Scooby Doo. I can't. I guess it's not really a Scooby Doo multiverse because they all exist in the same universe. Like we saw Steve introduce us to Joe and so on. But that's great. Good childhood vibes. I'm genuinely looking forward to seeing what they do with this movie. I love Blue's Clues.
Yeah, I
It was,
never. I mean,
it was
I was too old. I was way too old for it at the time. It doesn't mean I can't
yeah,
appreciate the lessons that it teaches kids because it is an educational show, which is great. So, but
yeah.
I don't know how a movie would work. What would be the lesson?
Mm.
Don't go
Yeah, I don't
outside.
know.
Don't
It's
go,
interesting because
it's
like
dangerous.
in the screenshot, they're on the street of what looks like a city. Like they're not like in the suburbs. You just like a crosswalk. You see like a Starbucks behind them. So they're I don't know. It's Blue's Big City Adventure, so that tells you exactly what I just said. I don't know why I said it. But yes, either way, I'm excited to learn more. Um, we're getting some more iCarly reboot. I said it was a good reboot of that show, and they're doing another season, so I'm glad because I think that the people behind that show deserve another season. I think it's actually very creative for a reboot. Um, new, just scrolling through here, new Teen Wolf stuff.
It's just
Uh,
so there was so much stuff. Like
yeah,
it's almost like they're like, don't worry, like we got the feature handled. Look at all these IPs everyone
mhm.
knows. Blue's
Well, yeah,
Clues,
they want people to
SpongeBob.
sign up. Like, they want you to see this and be like, "Oh shit, I have to get Paramount Plus." Also, some more adult animation stuff. Beavis and Butthead's getting an exclusive movie, and brand new episodes are both going to be on Paramount Plus. It's been a while since they've done anything Beavis and Butthead, right? I'm not forgetting anything.
No, no,
That
and
I've heard.
see, the thing is, Beavis and Butthead. Looking back at it now, it's actually like it looks like an obnoxious, annoying show, but it's actually very well written. Like when you look at it, and like it's one of
Mm.
some of Mike Judge's earliest work. It's predates King of the Hill, and like I unfortunately was just a little too young to understand it when it came out. But if you go watch old episodes now, like the themes and the stories they tell and the characters, is actually like really well done.
Yeah. I again, Beavis and Butthead wasn't really my obviously wasn't my generation, but it wasn't one that I watched all that much myself. It's weird, like it's one of those shows that has like that cultural stamp where it's like regardless of how much you've seen it, like you have like a baseline knowledge of it, and that's kind of my exposure to it. But the new movie is Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe, which I know was what was the last one? It was like Beavis and Butthead Do, was it the world or something like that, or but yeah. So they got a new one coming out. I think a lot of the original talent's coming back. I don't know. I might check it out. It's a lot of these like old adult animation programs are getting well, I was gonna say
Revitalized,
rebooted, but
revitalized.
revitalized is a
Yeah,
good term because they announced a crap ton of new South Park movies. Although South Park never didn't truly go away. They've always made new South Park stuff. Um, like Crab said, it's Do America. Do America was dope. Yeah. Oh yeah, Danny Mason, the King of the Hill is coming back. I think we talked about that a few weeks ago. Which is interesting. Like they're bringing back all the like old kid shows, so why not start digging into those like uh, '90s,
I
early
mean,
2000s catalog
I don't know
adult
if
animation
like
as
I
well.
don't think King of the Hill and Beavis and Butthead when they originally were released were targeted for kids. They were definitely for teens.
No, no, no. They're
Yeah,
adult animation.
definitely adult animation. I think that's part of the problem was I was a little just too young for it. Like you weren't even a gleam in your father's eye at that point, when this show was taking off.
No.
But like it was controversial. It was different. Like I remember the outrage over it. Because same thing with South Park. Because
Mm.
South Park, I remember the outrage of like them cursing and showing cleavage on a cartoon. Like kids watched this stuff. I remember the whole controversy behind the show, but not much about the show itself.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I mean, it'll be curious to see how it plays today, like how they try to like tie it in any like modern stuff or do a lot of commentary,
I
uh,
feel like I
on
feel like
society. A lot of those.
I feel like it comes in like with the Arclight thing. It comes in, everyone likes it, and then it slowly disappears into the wind. You know, like just You know what I mean? Like, how many times? I
Perhaps,
mean,
yeah.
maybe you might be a bad example. How many times have you watched the iCarly reunion?
The reboot. I mean, I only watched it once, but I don't really rewatch many shows or anything these days. This is a movie I really like. Um, but yeah,
But
what's
Axeman, it's for a new generation, though. If they put that at the end of the title, everything's great. Because you got to put for a new generation at the bottom. Because we
well,
can't
yeah,
pretend that this didn't exist before then. We have to make
I was
something
gonna say
new.
exactly what Krabs said. That's the great thing about reboots and remakes. If you hate them, the new thing is still there. They don't erase it. Which is more than you can say about a lot of video games when they literally do erase the old ones to bring the new ones.
Oh no, X-Men, that would be
But
too much effort to put out new IP. Why not they just got to milk the old stuff as much as they can until people stop watching it or buying it or consuming it, and then they'll move on to original IP.
they do both. They do both. Um, but hey, everyone has their thing. You know what my thing is, Greg? Grease. And I can't wait for this Grease prequel, Rise of the Pink Ladies.
I missed. That's the one thing I didn't miss. They're doing a Grease. They're
Yeah,
doing a
Grease,
Grease.
Rise of the
Oh
Pink
my
Ladies is
god, I
it's
can't.
a splashy musical prequel to the classic film Grease, but updated for today with new music and choreography. So when
I,
they say new music,
I,
is it? I hope it's new original music. I hope they're not just like singing to a bunch of like radio hits in the in the Grease Rise of the Pink Ladies film.
why the story we all needed to hear. I can watch the original so much better now, knowing where the Pink Ladies came from. Why are they
Oh
doing this?
man, I actually like Grease, which I feel like I shouldn't have. I definitely don't think I was a target demographic for that film. But I liked it. I watched that movie a few times as a kid, but it is funny to look back on now, even just looking at the trailer.
Not a very diverse cast.
Oh,
Of
that's why I
people.
was like, I don't think I was really the target demographic for this one.
It's a
I don't
lot
even
of
know why I
white
was watching
people
it.
in all the frames.
I, I don't. The part that makes me laugh is just how old everybody was. Like, especially like a lot of like the friends, John Travolta's character. I'm like, these dudes just look so old. Maybe they're a little younger than they look, but they just look so old to be playing high school. It's
High
just funny.
schoolers, yeah.
Um, but I still like Grease. It's got some bops. Probably don't care at all for Rise of the Pink Ladies, but it'll be amusing if nothing else to see what they do with it. Uh, was I not 37 years old in high school? Not quite, not quite. Um, but uh, but yeah, more Grease, and I didn't know Paramount had the rights to Grease, but I don't know who I would have thought had it.
Man, you'd be surprised with all the like all the hands and cookie jars, like stuff you wouldn't think they had
Yeah,
any reason, like because there are some Universal properties that are owned by Paramount. It's so the contracts are so weird how these things end
mm-hmm.
up working out. Like, did you know that
Yeah.
like ET isn't owned by Universal? It's owned by Amblin Entertainment, which is crazy. Like, why
Amblin. Yeah,
doesn't
that's
Universal own that? That seems like the contracts. It's weird,
yeah.
super
I
weird.
mean, Amblin produced ET, so they probably had a deal. I mean, Steven Spielberg probably had something written in there as like these rights revert to us or blah blah blah. Um, But yeah, that's actually gonna pretty much wrap up our Paramount Plus Investor Day covers. There's some other like tidbits in there too. They announced a new Damien Chazelle movie, some smaller stuff, but we simply can't give a a headline story to every single thing in
Yeah, it's just too much.
that
And
news boost. But good.
Krabs is right. Yeah, like I mean, it's distribution, I think, but I think they're a lot careful like today in modern times with that stuff because they know the longevity of a license and they don't want to give out that license to a third party. They want to own everything like Disney. So I think they've learned that lesson. I think back in the day, yeah, Chris is right. Like it's a little bit different. If I just distribute it out, who cares? Because they weren't sure what was going to be the next big hit. You know what I mean? I don't think their computers were as powerful as they
I
were
mean,
today to spit out numbers. But like
I mean
ET,
today you see. I was gonna say today. I mean, obviously they still studios still distribute movies they don't produce. A lot of it's with indie films and stuff. But yeah, when it comes to blockbusters, usually blockbuster movies more often than not are distributed by their production studios, and it usually comes down to a rights thing and people wanting their slice of the pie, and yada yada yada. And it's funny we're talking about Paramount Plus for that entire story, but our next story is still in the streaming world. Honestly, you could really just nickname today's streaming day because all but like two of our stories are about streaming services. And this one's about the big one, the one everybody knows, Netflix. Stranger Things season 4. I've talked about it a couple times in the show, but today they finally gave us some news, Greg, and actually some really interesting news. So, Stranger Things season 4 is going to release this year, but it's going to release in two parts. They're going to release season 4 in two parts. Volume 1 is going to release on May 27th, and Volume 2 will release on July 1st, which it's only 5 weeks apart. But what gets that's already interesting enough, but what really like thickens the plot here, Greg, is that they said this season is going to be supersized. So like they're not cutting the season in half and giving. Well, they are, but like they said that the episodes are going to be supersized, and that season 4 is going to be twice the length of season 3, which is pretty nutty because Netflix shows have been getting shorter and shorter. Netflix shows are notoriously much shorter than like the 24 episode seasons you get on cable. And the way that they describe it, it doesn't sound like they're doing double the episodes. It just sounds like the episodes themselves are longer. So I think it still might be like an 8 or 9 episode season. But I think the episodes are going to be like an hour and a half or somewhere in that neighborhood, which is mind blowing because that's a movie, quite literally. Um, but yeah, it's interesting, and it's a bit of a departure from Netflix and their the release stuff. And also, they said this is season 4. They announced that they are going to do a season 5, and that it will be the last season of Stranger Things.
Good for
So
them for
a
wrapping it
lot of
up and not
news.
like making it go on
Yeah,
forever like Grey's Anatomy. Good for them for actually like
recent.
wanting to tell like an enclosed, like it still went 4 seasons, but I think 3 or 4 seasons is really like the good sweet spot for shows. Like I don't shows
Yeah.
aren't supposed to go for like 20 seasons, people. Like they're just not. I mean, like tell your story, tell it concisely. We don't need to keep dragging
Hmm.
it out. How many hospital shootings do we need to have in Grey's Anatomy? Like, jeez.
Hey, that show is very popular. There's a reason they made all those seasons. People were definitely watching it. But no, it's interesting though, and it goes back to what they said when the first season came out and the show first blew up, and they were like, "Well, what are your plans?" And they were like, "We see it probably going like 4 or 5 seasons." They said that back in 2016, so it's cool that they stuck to that and they didn't like they're not like going to try to peddle it to season 10 or whatnot. And although season 5 will be the end, I doubt that that's the last we see of Stranger Things. I'm sure there'll be a spin-off at some point, or maybe they'll do a movie. I mean, hell, even like Breaking Bad shows like that. Nothing's ever really dead in the world of intellectual property. So we'll see. But it is cool. That, I mean, they're like, yeah, we're gonna end like the mainline Stranger Things series, and I'm quite looking forward to season 4. I love the show. So
Yeah, the show's
exciting stuff.
very well written. Its pacing is nice. It's like again, like there are like it's not action heavy either. Like it gives a lot of those themes and vibes from the golden age. Is it the golden age of like movies in the 80s and 90s? I mean that's and I really do enjoy it. I
Uh,
think the characters are funny. I think it's like well written. Everything about it's good. It's a great show. If you haven't seen Stranger Things seasons 1 through 3, you should watch it. It's a good show.
yeah. I just want to refer to a couple messages here in the chat. First of all, So in Love says like One Piece. Yeah, what is One Piece? Is like well over 1,000 episodes now at this point. I'm not a big anime watcher, but that's always the one I hear people like complain about when it comes to longevity and stuff like that. It shows. Crab said, "Am I taking crazy pills or is the stream making ping noises?"
Sorry, I had to mute Slack.
So
Slack was not muted. I'm
uh,
usually not getting pinged so much
I
during
know
these
you're good.
streams.
No, guys, just want to make sure that we had addressed that. And then he also said that these kids will be 37 before the show wraps up. Yeah, they're already old, man. At this point, they're all around like 18, 19 years old. I think the oldest one might even be 20 at this point. And by the time they even get around to doing season 5, they'll all be well into their early 20s. So, I mean, that's fine so long as they don't try to still push them as kids. Like, I don't care if you keep the same cast, but just have them be like in college or graduating college, and not still be 16. And it looks like that's what they're doing. Like I don't see like them in like a cafeteria or anything in this new stuff. But yeah, those kids grew up fast, quite fast. Which is something we talked about here as well. Like we talk about Harry Potter and like the young cast growing up with the series, but the issue of like you age so fast as a teenager that it's like just film production is like struggling to keep up. So it's like every
Oh yeah,
season it's 1 year later, but they've all aged like 2.5 to 3
yeah. 3
years.
years. It takes time. I mean, it's gotta get
Yeah,
written. It's gotta get organized. You gotta shoot it. You gotta edit it. They gotta release it. Like it's a
yeah.
big process. It's a huge
It's
process.
very, it's a huge undertaking. Yeah. Um, but I still dig it. It is very good that I'm very happy that they've kept that cast together. And it is, I guess, in a way, like this generation's like major franchise. Like there's kids that were like the Stranger Things kids' age when they watched the first one, and now they're like getting into college and whatnot. So they kind of grew up with the series as well. I think that's pretty dope, and you can't really understate what this show has done for Netflix, just as a brand, as a streaming service, marketing wise. it is like their it's like their Star Wars or their like Marvel. Like that's like the biggest thing that they've got going on. So
And that's
I'm
what I love
very
about
much
Netflix more than any other subscription services, because like Netflix, like, hey, here's something that's new and original. I mean, other things have that too, but a lot of it, like Disney Plus, is a lot of throwbacks, a lot of spin-offs, a lot of sequels. Like, it's like,
mhm,
we have this IP, we're gonna use it. Netflix is like, hey, here's a new IP, check it out. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and they move on. You know, you get a season and you move on to the next show.
mhm,
And sometimes like shows take a while. Like, people forget that back in the day, shows could take a while to find an audience. I mean, I've been bugging you all week about Veronica Mars because I just watched all 4 seasons of the movie again. It's a great
mhm.
show, and the reason it got canceled is because no one was watching it because it was on the same time as American Idol, and so like they just canned it after 3 seasons. And Rob Thomas went on to do
Mhm.
something else, which sucks because it's a great. It's like one of those it's one of those things where you appreciate it and then it's too late. And they did a resurgence. They did a season 4 and they did a crowdfunding movie and a lot of people enjoyed it. But sometimes these things are a slow burn, and it's interesting with this new platform, like with Netflix and streaming on demand services and all that stuff. If it's going to continue to be like that, like maybe not Stranger Things, but like maybe there's another show that will be appreciated, 10 years later. Oh, this is a really great show. Everyone should watch this. How come no one watched this? It really just stuff like that is really really fascinates me.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. And I don't know. I mean, not only did Stranger Things do so much for Netflix, I mean, it also did everything for the people involved with it. I mean, look at Millie Bobby Brown now. She was in the Godzilla films. She's got another movie. She plays what's Enola Holmes, where
Alone,
she plays
Nola
like
Holmes, yeah.
yeah. She's all over the place. The other kids have been popping up and stuff as well. So it's been huge. And obviously, the Duffer Brothers probably have everybody handing them blank checks on the back of that series as well. So. Um, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm curious to see what they all do afterwards. Greg, we're gonna stay on our streaming service beat for our next story. Uh, but before we go there, just a tease. Before we go there, if you're watching the stream, you should consider following it because I mean, why not? You just hit that heart in the bottom right hand corner of your screen. It's completely free to do. We appreciate it, and you can even subscribe. If you're a Prime Gaming member, which means you have Amazon Prime, you can get a free sub every month. It costs you exactly $0 to do it. We would greatly appreciate it. It means a lot to us over here. And of course, Shacknews is a lot of places outside of Twitch. You can find us on Facebook, we're on Instagram, Shacknews Media, at Shacknews on Twitter, doing a lot over there, and then even more on YouTube on our two channels, Shacknews Games and Gamer Hub TV, which this lovely dude Greg here controls in its entirety. And
I'm
Greg,
the
you've got a lot of
mastermind.
yeah, you got a lot of videos on there, a lot of unboxings. I saw you getting some lucky Pokemon card pulls. Bit of a whirlwind over there in the YouTube world.
Always, and we're always having new content multiple times a day, so it's very active on our channel. Come check it out and find out what you like, whether it's unboxing, reviews, gameplay videos, or our stream shows, which are dumped, no pun intended, right there every day
Uh,
when they're done, or as soon as I can get to them. I'm only one man, not
yeah,
a
and
machine.
and in addition to being an Amazon Prime subscriber, not only can you subscribe to our channel for free, you can also participate in our watch parties, which we do once a month, the last Friday of every month here on Shack News Twitch channel. Usually, right after the dump, we'll find a movie that's on Prime Video, we'll throw it on. Greg and I will watch along with you guys. All you have to do is log into your Amazon account, and the movie will be right on your screen. We can watch, react together, and have good conversations. Last month, we watched Spaceballs. And we'll be announcing our next one, I guess, next week, because our next one will be next Friday. It'll be the 25th. So something to look forward to. We appreciate all the support. We also just appreciate you reading and watching. Um, and Greg, I'm gonna appreciate watching this trailer here because I tease we have a Disney Plus news piece here.
No,
Chippendale
God!
Rescue Rangers, that classic
No,
property.
God, please,
They're
no!
getting
No!
a movie.
No!
I don't really know what to call it as far as like reboot. Well, I'll call it what they call it. A comeback 30 years in the making. The hybrid live action CG animated action comedy catches up with former Disney afternoon television stars in modern day Los Angeles. Uh, Chippendale Rescue Rangers. They announced that they were doing this, but holy hell, is this trailer like not at all what I was expecting this movie to be? It's like the super meta thing where it's like Chippendale in real life. One of them's like 3D animated, one of them's 2D. You got John Mulaney and Andy Samberg in there as your titular Chip and Dale. You get a Roger Rabbit cameo, but it's like the like hybrid animated live action shtick here. And Greg, you're not a fan of this trailer at all, so I'm very
No,
curious to hear your thoughts. Go
no,
ahead.
I think the movie looks like hot garbage. I don't like you know when I talk about in the show all the time about Hollywood execs and studios making movies via like a computer that just spits out something. This is what I'm talking about. Like, I don't know
You
who
think
this
so?
movie is for, like, because it's definitely not for me, and it's definitely not for kids because there's like drug jokes in it and like Seth Rogen. So like, who is it for? Like, I
Hey,
don't
it's
know. It's
it's
not
for the
for,
people that grew up with it that are adults now.
but it has like nothing to do with the original. They didn't even get like the same voice cast.
It's it's them. It's Chip and Dale. You see them. I don't know. Look,
I don't think like I mean I'm all for something new, but this thing just looks like hot garbage to me. Like it's okay to have like cool things in your movie where you can point to be like, oh, that's a cute little wink. But like when your entire movie is that, then what the fuck's the point? What's the
well,
point?
I have two things to say that. One, Krabs says the movie's for millennials looking for nostalgia pop, just like
I
Stranger
guess
Things,
I
Beavis
don't.
and Butthead, 2K. But I don't know. So I have very, I mean, I remember Chip and Dale, but it was like Disney Afternoon stuff was a bit before my time. Like I've seen some of it. I thought it was neat. I was intrigued by this trailer. If they had released like a Chip and Dale reboot trailer and it was like just the show, but like back again, I probably wouldn't have cared. But I think it's really interesting what they're doing with this. And I only say that because like the whole hybrid live action animation thing is such a like lost art. Like they don't do that anymore. I just remember like early 2000s, like Looney Tunes back in action. Obviously, Who Framed Roger Rabbit's like the biggest one. Even like Space Jam, which I guess they did do that a little bit with the new one. I know you don't see those kind of movies anymore, and
No.
I would argue that they do have at least story wise something that seems interesting. Like they're it's the characters dealing with like the fame and not being like washed up stars in Hollywood. I don't know. I think that's more interesting than them just being like Chip and Dale are back for a new 2D animated series. I think the fact they even got one of them is like 3D animated, one of them's 2D. I don't think all the jokes in the trailer land, but I think it's a an interesting angle for sure.
I mean, I find it like really fascinating in a bad way because I think about what they could have done. Like the tone, like this could be a total bait and switch, but from the trailer, the tone, everything just seems very low bar, very lowest common denominator. I don't really see other than having the visual aesthetic of the Rescue Rangers. It has none of the themes or qualities of the original cartoon. It doesn't even have the fucking original voices. Like, are you joking? Like you packed it full of so much celebrities. Maybe you could have spent a little bit of time writing characters out, or maybe I don't know. Maybe watch an episode of Rescue Rangers. Maybe
Well, we don't
watch
know if it's
one
written well or
episode of
not,
Rescue Rangers. And but no, they're too
but
busy putting My Little Pony and
but it's
Aladdin in
not.
Rescue
But it's not
Rangers.
supposed to be more of the show, though. That's the point. It's something new.
They did
I
this
would be that
though,
would,
but it's not new. They've done this before. They've done this for the Muppets. Do you remember the Muppet reality show that was so bad it got canceled halfway through the
yeah.
season? Do you remember that show? This
Look,
is the same,
they got a catch joke.
but this is the same concept. It's the same concept. Like,
And
oh,
then
look at all the Muppets. They're great. Ah, but behind the scenes in real life, they did that with the Muppets. And everyone's like, fuck this. I'm out. Like, I can't believe they didn't learn anything from that. Like, and because that's what this is. It's like Chip and Dale are going to be edgelords and they're going to be terrible people and human beings and they're going to try to get the gang back together, right? And like, but with the Muppets, it crashed and burned. They didn't even finish the whole season. They canceled. They didn't even run all the episodes. It's literally
well,
verbatim. It's identical.
maybe this will maybe this will be better than Muppets. And I think the joke at the end is hilarious, where they go. I think it's Seth Rogen. It is Seth Rogen's characters. I can tell from the laugh. Where they go to him and they're like, I have the trailer muted, so I can't hear it. But I think the line is like, he's from like a bygone form of animation where like things looked real but not right. And he opens the door and it looks like a 2003 like CG character. I thought that was hilarious because I remember when like humans looked like that in movies in like the in late 90s films and stuff. I don't
Yeah.
know. I think it. I think some of it is interesting, but
I don't know,
it's
man.
coming
Like,
out this year, you know.
it's the second they open their mouth and
So
it's like two A-list celebrities. You're like, really? Like, you couldn't get, or you couldn't speed up their voices to sound like the original cast? Like,
crabs.
I just, no, it's not about that, man. I'm
So
telling
they
you,
could
like,
get Francis Ford
I think it's
Coppola.
about lowest common denominator humor and like just the wasted opportunity of to do this. Because think of it this way: Roger Rabbit is like 36 years old. Like, you could have made this like like take place in the same universe, right? Because it looks like it hints at that. Like, takes place in the same universe where toons and humans live together, but you make it a noir mystery. Like, oh, we got to find the crew. What's happening? But that's not what the trailer is. The trailer looks like a bunch of gags and Leonardo DiCaprio pointing to things, and that's what makes me like not like it, because it looks like it's aiming so low on the scale bar that it can't possibly fail. You know, because just think about that. Like, that would have been incredible. Like, to see.
I mean, I think it would have been cool, but I think the people would have complained anyway if they did that.
I don't know, man.
I
There's
don't
so
know.
much to complain about this
I think
trailer.
this looks.
Honestly, it's. I don't know, man.
I think.
It's. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think I'm curious to see if they do like commentary on like the reboots of all the animated shows and how they're bringing back all like childhood children's programs. I think there could be some fun commentary or sequences with that if they so do it right.
Yeah, I just think they wasted up like the meta stuff. I see a Muppets fiasco happening again with this. Honestly, if I'm being real, because I remember living through that. I was working at a post SNLA during that fiasco, because 30 Rock at the time was huge, and then they released, which basically, if you've never, for someone who's never seen the Muppet show, it was basically 30 Rock, but with Muppets, and everything was dark and depressing and adult, and it just didn't work because it's not what the characters represent. And I feel like the same thing in this thing. You know what I mean? Like, Chip and Dale are voiced by two AAA actors, not the original voice cast, or not even ones that sound remotely like them. You know, so automatically, like, Dale has a certain look and a sound to him. And when Adam Sandler goes into your mouth, I'm violently ripped from the world. I'm like, what is this? Like, so. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, I won't argue with you on the voice actor thing. Although I do really like John Mulaney and Andy Samberg. I think they're both quite funny.
No,
So I'm
they
still
are,
looking
and
forward
I
to
love
seeing
the
them
Lonely
do
Island
this. But
stuff. Is great.
mm,
Like, have you seen Hot Rod? It's so off and off, so oddball and off the wall. It's great, but I think this is not written by the Lonely Island. I don't think it's written by I can't never remember his name. It's a very unique. He has a very unique name, and I can never pronounce it right. But I don't think it's written by them. I think it's written by a
mhm.
computer that spits out jokes. Sorry.
I don't know. I will disagree, but I don't know. It comes out in May, so it'll be on Disney Plus. I don't know if they're doing theaters as well, but we'll see. I'll probably watch it, and I'm sure we'll talk about it on here. Uh, Greg, we have another trailer that I want to talk about, and it's finally something that's not streaming related. Say, good old, I think Universal's going to distribute this, but Jordan Peele released the trailer for his next film, which is called Nope, simply titled Nope, Nope. It was released on the day of the Super Bowl. Um, and if you don't know, I mean, folks know, but just a refresher, Jordan Peele directed Get Out 2017, which was like the first movie, Greg, when we started the show. I was like, you got to watch Get Out. He also did Us in 2019. This is his third directorial film. And damn, I cannot wait for this movie. It comes out the day after my birthday. And something about Jordan Peele films so far, at least with Get Out and Us, they've been social thrillers, right? Where it's like the first one was the black dude with his white girlfriend going to meet her family, and something was really weird, and he knew something was off, and it's that like so that anxiety from the situation. Us kind of taps into. I feel like I can't even say without spoiling that movie, but like Us kind of taps into like the human psyche and stuff like that. And Nope is I think doing an alien thing. I think this is supposed to be aliens. So like watching the trailer here, you see like Kiki Palmer and Daniel Kaluuya, who Daniel Kaluuya was in Get Out. They're like horse trainers, but for like Hollywood productions. So they like train horses for movies and stuff. And at some point, like I don't know, shit just starts getting weird in this town. Like you see the like gravity and electricity starts getting weird, power shutting off. Like you see the inflatable like salesman things are like all going to the ground. Shit starts flying up into the air. They start seeing stuff in the sky. Um, and pretty quickly, it looks like all hell starts to break loose. And in very like Jordan Peele fashion, it's like the whole 2.5 minute trailer goes by, and it's like I don't know what just happened in that trailer, but it's good though because it kind of it gets you hyped, but it's like you still have no idea what's happening. Like a lot of people complain the trailers spoil movies and you see the whole thing, but it's like you can't watch that trailer and tell me what the hell is going on in this movie, and it gets me very excited. I'm looking forward to it. Steven Yeun's in it. You see him in like one or two shots in the trailer there. I know there's one where you see like what looks like an alien, maybe around a corner, like a head or something. But it seems like he's keeping all that like off camera for now. But I don't know. I think Jordan Peele is definitely one of the most creative voices in horror, which I love. I love me a good horror movie. And I think he also strikes a great balance between like classic horror and like I guess what you would call elevated horror, like your Hereditary or your Get Out, like the stuff that um, is much more widely celebrated than standard horror movies. So I'm quite looking forward to it. But Greg, I'm curious if you have any thoughts on the Nope trailer.
I
Checking it
was
out.
responding to Chris's thing. You said that the person who wrote Hot Rod wrote this, and that's no, the writer who wrote Hot Rod was Pam Brady, and it was directed by Akava Schaefer. Like he's those are the talented ones. Like that's Pam Brady who wrote Hot Rod, so I don't think that's correct. It's the writers for the Rescue Rangers did classics like Doolittle with Robert Downey Jr. It's a classic. Don't even give him the side eye. Movie.
I mean, I have no. I wasn't to that. I mean, I have no thoughts or opinions on
Okay.
that. I don't really.
Sorry.
I
So no,
mean,
nope. Jordan Peele's fucking amazing. Like he's an amazing filmmaker. He's a great writer. He like his movies are about characters and have themes and like make you and like they challenge you and they in different ways. They're not visual effects spectaculars. You know, it's about characters and people and it's filmmaking. Like it's almost like filmmaking. Like sure, there's visual effects in this, sure, but it's that great rule that nobody follows apparently except for Jordan Peele, which is less is more. Like you have an idea what's going on. It could be aliens. We don't know, but a bunch of weird stuff is happening. Like you know, it could be a nice little twist. It could be super. We don't know, but it's about characters in this town, like you said, experiencing all these strange things that are happening. And I'm intrigued. And Jordan Peele does great work, and I'm excited about
mhm.
it. It looks like a really well made movie. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, his movies do great at like giving you like your classic thriller horror scares and stuff, but they also like you said they're very challenging. They like force you to ask yourself questions. Usually like very like social questions. Get Out does it excellently. Us does it excellently, I think. And I'm curious to see like which angle this one takes, right? Like seeing the trailer for Get Out, like I knew it was gonna like tackle racism or prejudice and stuff like that. And even us, like I can see like the angles it takes there, about how we treat each other and all sorts of other stuff. But like looking at Nope, I'm like I'm wondering like what's the like I guess what's the message here? Like what's the theme gonna be like the underlying story in addition to the aliens or whatever the hell's happening here. And I also think that like his writing is so good. And he won best screenplay for Get Out, but like he's such an excellent writer. The line in here where I think Daniel Kaluuya's character is like it's like when you can tell stuff is like starting to go wrong and he's like what do you call a bad miracle? Like what
Yeah.
is there a word for that? And I'm like that's such a good line. Like I don't know, just the way he delivers it in the trailer. I'm like give this to me. Or then when she's like you see him on the horse just riding like the shadows just there's like something above him, like a mothership or a cloud or something. It's very beautiful looking. Krebs brought up Take Shelter and Fourth Kind. See, to me, it reminded me a bit of Signs in a good way. I know people don't like
Yes,
Signs, but
signs,
it
yes.
gave me vibes of Signs. And it's funny because our own Blake Morris even he compared. He said Jordan Peele is a lot like M Night Shyamalan, but like executes better. Which
Yes.
I was like it's kind of true, honestly, when I think about it. They have a lot of similar like philosophies. They always had that very like identifiable vision. Like you can watch a trailer and like this is an M Night Shyamalan movie. Like I can watch this trailer. You could have shown this to me with no context, and I'm like, this is the next Jordan Peele movie, right? Um, so yeah, I think that's also a very good comparison. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
very much looking forward to Note.
the problem with M Night, I think, is he got caught in this pigeonhole of like doing twist. You know what I mean? And that's what he was kind of known for. And
Yeah,
people go into those movies expecting it, which, and then of course, like that's the problem with twist, right? Like a twist can be done in a spectacular way, like The Sixth Sense, right? Or it can be done in a absolutely horrific way, like The Happening or Signs. You know what I mean? And so it's hit and miss with the
yeah.
twist. I mean, and that's what he became known for. And I guess Old didn't have a twist technically. It was from what I was reading. Didn't
Oh,
did
oh
it?
no, old
Did
old
it?
has a twist. It's
Okay,
not a
because I
good
remember
one,
reading
but
some
it has
reviews
one.
and them saying like it was not like not like that. I mean, that movie didn't do too well. But no, I think Jordan Peele is more focused on the story, where M
Mhm.
Night Shyamalan is focused is on the act three reveal. You know what I mean? That's he's building up to something, right?
Yeah,
And this one is just he's. I don't think Jordan Peele's building up to anything. Maybe he is, but in this case, we're following the characters on their way to that. I guess like it's a little bit different than M Night Shyamalan. You're like, okay, what's the twist? What does this mean? You're trying to dissect it because you know there's going to be a twist at the end. You know, I think that's the thing that hurts him the most right now in his filmmaking career. Where Jordan Peele will just make a story. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
With it
I
doesn't necessarily have to have a twist. It might. You know what I mean? But it's about characters
mm,
experiencing. It's about the journey, right? Not the destination with Jordan Peele.
yeah, I would agree with that, and I like that you bring up the pigeonhole thing with M Night Shyamalan, right? Where people came to just expect twists, like going in, it's like, what's the twist in this one from like the first minute of the movie, um, and I wonder if that'll ever become an issue for Jordan Peele, because I mean, his first two, and now this will be his third movie, are all social thrillers, right? It
Mm-hmm.
seems like they've all got that same idea of it's like blends like regular thriller and horror elements with like modern day social fears like racism and harassment stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see like if I don't know if his fourth movie is a social thriller, his fifth movie, is his sixth movie. Because even like I just said it 10 minutes ago, I was like, I wonder what the underlying theme is here. Like, is that like will that be a thing, right? Where it's like every Jordan Peele movie, you're like, I wonder what's the societal commentary in this movie. And if you don't know Jordan Peele, like he comes from a huge comedy background, sketch comedy, all that stuff. So it was very like big departure for him when he started doing horror and thriller. But I don't know, like maybe Nope comes out, it's great, and then maybe like his fourth movie is a slapstick comedy, or maybe it's a romance movie. I'd be very interested to see him do other genres in the director's seat, but also like I wouldn't be mad if he was like, my next movie after this is gonna be scary again.
I
Crab.
feel bad for him because does that mean that he didn't enjoy comedy doing it? Because I feel like, especially in Hollywood, in big Hollywood, when you're a minority, like you don't get many opportunities. It's very hard to climb. There's a lot of obstacles in your way. Just
Mm,
being a minority in Hollywood, and I feel like everyone looked at him for comedy, and I wonder if that's what he really wanted to do, or if he's because to me, what this says is he's always wanted to do horror, but he got kind of roped into doing the comedy with his partner, and like now he's
uh,
actually he's able to like live his dream and express himself creatively the way he wants to. I mean, I'm asking a question. I don't know if that's the case. I mean,
I I feel like he probably just wanted to stretch his legs and do something new.
mm-hmm.
Jordan Peele strikes me as one of those people that's just like an all-around creative person. Like he just kind of can do a little bit of everything. Um, and also, I think I brought up on the show before, like people, I've heard filmmakers talk about how like the line between like comedy and horror is a lot like thinner than you think.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're the two genres where it's like they're both all predicated on like what reaction you can get out of the audience, whether it's like making them laugh or scaring the shit out of them. Your movie kind of lives and dies on that. So I think there's also some parallels there. I like what Crab said, where he's like the difference is they get out, and us don't entirely live or die on the twist like M Night movies
Yeah.
do. That's true because I would argue that Get Out up until like the twist slash reveal, it's still a great movie up until that point. And I'd say the same about Us too. I know Us was a little bit less like widely beloved than Get Out, but I'd say the same thing. I think that they're both good enough in their own right before you get to any like third act reveal or twist. Whereas, yeah, the M Night movies, it's like, wow, that was the worst twist I've ever seen. Let's get out of here. The levity and Get Out and Us is on an entirely other level than something like an Ari Aster film. Yeah, Ari Aster, that is a person that I'm afraid of that guy. He put some weird shit in his movies. Even going back to like his old stuff from like a decade ago. Ari Aster is a very interesting filmmaker. But I don't know. Like I said,
I would say
Nope.
he's like
I'm
an
very much
artist,
looking
right?
forward
He's
to it.
like an artiste, right? Like there's different types, just like there's
Who?
different
Ari
types of
Aster?
film. Yeah, he's like an artiste, right? He's not
Yeah, he
subtle. He's
certainly
very
is.
abstract. He's very unique. You know what I mean? He wants to
He's
stand out.
very abstract. Yeah. Ari Aster is very abstract. He said he's the king of making bad feelings look beautiful. Yeah. Look at like Midsummer,
Yeah,
Hereditary. That
he's
is
just an artist. That's all. He just, I mean, there's
that
different
dude
types of artists
certainly.
all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. Nothing to take from him. His movies are quite beloved. Uh, but yes, and I'm sure I'll talk all about Nope more as we get closer to it and learn more about it. I'll go see it the day it comes out, and I'll definitely talk about it on this show. Greg, that's essentially everything we had for news stories. We could get into some cheeky reviews here if you're interested. I might have seen a movie to talk about. I'm curious if you've got any shows or movies you saw this week that
I,
you're
I've been watching
interested in.
Peacemaker, and I know some people
Yeah,
are
yeah,
sick
yeah.
of hearing how good that show is. It's so different and so interesting.
How far are you?
Uh, Episode 4 or 5,
Okay.
but like, I mean, it's everything I want. It's different. You know what I mean? Like when I like it when
Hmm.
there's more talking in a film than action scenes, and that's good for me. Like I'm like, this is great. Like you're actually spending time. Like they feel like a team. It's just it's fun. I can't believe that all these movies are doing X-Men better
Peacemaker, Arm Squares.
than any other superhero genre.
Uh huh.
It's just it's in crazy. It's crazy to me how well that works. But
It's good. I'm curious to hear your thoughts when you, because you're, it's not that many episodes, it's like seven. The last episode came out today, which I watched this morning. It's very good. First season, I would definitely give it two thumbs up. What do we expect from James Gunn? We kind of talked about his talent in past weeks, but he's, I mean, top of this game with Peacemaker. And we didn't have it in our news stories, but they even announced recently that it got renewed for a second season on HBO Max, which I'm excited about. Gunn's going to be back to write and direct, which is reassuring. But yeah, it's very good, and it's even made me see like John Cena in a new light. Because like I just love to crap on John Cena in movies. He is not a good actor. I still don't think he's a great actor. But like, damn, is he good in Peacemaker? Like he's very good as that character in that show. Like I cannot take anything from him. Um, Crash said James Gunn's the Michael Jordan of making me have feelings for stupid CGI characters. Yeah, he does. He really has a knack for that as well, which again, a testament to how good of a writer he is. But Peacemaker's good, and I thought it was something you would like, Greg. So I'm glad that you're
no,
checking it
yeah,
out.
it's definitely. I think it's different. It's doing everything right. Like these should be about character studies and how the characters interact with themselves. It shouldn't be about and the Suicide Squad was a lot like that. There were scenes that were completely pointless and weren't needed, but it was about building that relationship with the team up, and
Mhm.
they did a really good job with uh, that aspect of it, and it was done very well. But yeah, it's a great show. I like it. If you haven't watched it, you really should. It's different. It's unique. It's more interesting.
Yeah,
Has subtle themes. Reminds me a lot of Tarantino's early work. You know, with
yeah,
there's
I
situations
could.
that they're put in that are kind of awkward, and they talk through, and there's a little bit of improv in there, but not enough to where it's annoying. So I think it's just a lot of it's John Cena going off. Like
Uh-huh.
he just goes off, and they have these really weird conversations. What was the one he was going off last night? They have these like scream matches, just like you would in real life, as if he seems so real. You know, put your
Yeah,
dick
they
away.
do.
I don't want to look at your dick. And he's like trying to cover. He's like, I'm gonna look. He's like, my dick's not out, man. Like, it's really great.
Uh, Crab said if they hurt the eagle, I'm going to drink
Oh,
bleach.
Eagly. Yeah, that's a terrible name for a pet bird, Eagly.
Oh man, it's great. I don't know. Yeah, again, I can't sing that show's praises high enough. I know DC has like a bunch of shows they're doing for HBO Max. If they take like at least a little piece, a sliver of inspiration from Peacemaker, I think that they'll be in very good hands with their live action show offerings.
Mm.
Um, I watched a movie this week called Kimmy. It was directed by Steven Soderbergh, who just that guy makes a lot of movies. It feels like, but it stars Zoe Kravitz, who I like quite a bit. She's a Catwoman in the new Batman movie. But in Kimmy, she essentially plays a woman that it's set like during the pandemic. It's like a part of the whole story, which is kind of weird, but I think it works for this movie. Although I'm very iffy on movies doing that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she works for like a tech company, and it's similar to like an Amazon Alexa kind of thing, where it's like, "Hey Kimmy, do this. Hey Kimmy, blah blah blah." And she listens to like a lot of the calls that people make on those devices. She can like hear like the things that people say to them, like dealing with user feedback, stuff like that. And then one day she's listening and she hears what she believes is like a violent murder on it. And then she kind of goes in to investigate it. And it's in that genre of film like Disturbia, Rear Window. It's that like subgenre of like person accidentally witnesses a murder, maybe in like chaos ensues. Um, I think this one's really interesting. Like I said, it's set during the pandemic, and her character is actually like agoraphobic. So she's like afraid, terrified to leave the house, and that I mean that kind of speaks to like a very real world fear. But it's interesting because it plays into like her trying to like get this story out there. She's trying to like tell people at her company. They don't take her seriously. She's like got like muster up the courage to go outside and like go down to the office, look into it. And it's got some good like thrilling moments in it. Uh, there's like some like cliche predictability stuff in it, but I still like it a lot. I like how they use modern technology in it without seeming like corny or anything.
Yeah, I saw
I
the
think Zoe
trailer.
Kravitz is really good.
I saw the
Yeah,
trailer, and
but
it does look like it just I mean the key is to like everything's been done right, so the key is to try to stick to tropes and do them in different ways. And this looks a lot like basically like Rear Window, like exactly like Rear Window, right? Like,
Mhm.
so I mean, but that's fine because
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a trope, and now you gotta try to do it in a creative way. In this way, it's a agoraphobia instead of like a broken leg, and it's technology instead of binoculars. You know what I mean? So like it does different things.
Yeah.
We've seen this story before, but did you enjoy it? Or did it have a unique twist at the end, or was it satisfying at the end?
I like it. It kind of goes places. It gets very close to going off the rails at the end, but I don't think it goes off the rails all the way. But it gets dangerously close. I like it though. I think it's good. It's on
HBO Max.
HBO Max. There you go. I know I was trying to blank on that. Yeah, it's HBO Max. It's a perfect like at home streaming movie, right? To just have
Hmm.
you can throw in and watch. I probably wouldn't have went to see it in theaters, but it was decent. I gave it like a 3-star rating on my little letterbox app. But I thought it was good. It was just a good little cool original story take on a popular trope. Um, I know that it's like using modern tech in movies is a cliche, but I think I really enjoy when it's done right. I think this movie does it pretty well. Um, it's cool. I dig it. I would give Kimmy a recommendation if you've got HBO Max. I wouldn't say you've got to sign up to watch it, but if you've got access to it, I'd say it's worth watching.
Do you say 3 out of 4 stars or 3 out of 5 stars?
3 out of 5 I gave it. It was like yeah,
Okay.
like a 3-star. That's good. Decent movie. I probably won't. It won't be my favorite movie of the year or anything, but I think it's good for what it is.
Yeah,
I
it's on
dig
top
it.
of that, like when you have a movie like this with just characters, like it's harder. Like you really have to write them well. They really have to be developed well. You have to like care about them, right? You can't just like there's a lot of movies that you can just throw in a
Mhm.
chase scene in or throw in an action sequence in, and it can be like 20 action sequences, and people will be entertained by that. But if you don't have the budget for that, which I don't think this movie clearly does, like you have to
Mhm.
have good characters, you have to have good writing, dialogue. You have to keep the viewer engaged by these characters, and if they're not engaged, that's bad. So it's
And
harder. It's definitely
that's
harder.
it's something cool that this movie does really well, right? So like she lives alone, and I mentioned she's agoraphobic, so she doesn't go out much. But so like a lot of the stuff you learn from the character, obviously she doesn't like talk out loud to herself to give you all the exposition.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the stuff you learn about Zoe Kravitz's character is like how she works. Like you see her monitor, like the way she like interacts with people online, the like stuff she's clicking on, how she reacts like when people like file complaints, and she's like, "Oh, fuck off with that." Um, it's like little details like that. Tell you about her character and kind of inform that, which I think is very good. Arm Squire says that a sculpt keyboard.
Do you
I did not
believe
like
it's
her
called
keyboard at all.
ergonomically correct? Thank you very much. An
I was,
ergonomic
I,
keyboard. They're all the rage
I
now.
know. When I was watching, I was like, God, that ergonomic keyboard looks so ugly. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's worth it. But I noticed that too when I was watching. I was like, ew, I don't want one of those. Uh,
Anything
but
particularly stand out in the film? Cinematography, writing,
uh,
music?
yeah, I would say the way it's shot and Zoe Kravitz, her performance are probably the two things that I take away from it the most, for sure. A lot of visual storytelling and audible, I guess. uh, but yeah, those are my reviews. I don't know if I watched anything else. I watched a documentary about Have you heard of the Tinder swindler dude? That documentary.
No.
I checked that out. It's on Netflix. I watched it with some friends online. It was like, it's about this dude. I shouldn't laugh because actually it's kind of sad. But it was like a few years ago. Like this lady, like on Tinder, was like dating this dude, and then like he pretty much like finessed her out of like very high in the double-digit thousands of dollars. But then it turned out that he was scamming like a bunch of women, and he was like flying around on a private jet, and he would like scam them out of money and use that money to like go and be with other women and go to like Paris and be on like the beach, like eating escargot, and then he'd like scam that woman out of money, and he like had them like taking out like six-figure loans and doing all sorts of crazy shit, and he was like getting away like a bandit. And they made a documentary about it on Netflix, which like I'm a bit torn on because I think the story is interesting. I mean, I love a good documentary, but it also feels like they're not glorifying him. But like I read today that he signed with like a Hollywood agent, and now he's trying to make his own dating app or something. And I'm like, no,
What
I'm
could
like he's a
possibly go
very old.
wrong?
I'm like he should like be in jail. I was like, what do you mean he signed with an agent? I was like he should like actually be in prison right now. So for like that reason alone, I'm like ashamed that I watched him. Like I was like, geez, I was like, why are we putting this person on a platform and giving him a pedestal to step onto?
Because if
But
there's money to be made, man, people will find a way to milk it.
Yeah, but I mean, my
Obviously
point
he
is back
learned
to like he
nothing.
should be in jail.
Yeah, obviously he learned nothing from his
He,
experiences, and he's continued to be an edgelord and scam people. So
I mean,
whatever.
he's a scammer. Why would he? He's not going to stop unless he has like a consequence, which would be going to prison, which didn't happen. So why would he? He's not going to stop if he keeps working. Which is weird. It's not. It's funny because it's not funny, but it's like it's weird because it's the second documentary I've watched this year or in the last couple months where it's like they are exposing somebody for doing like an awful thing, whether it be like theft or burglary or whatever. But then they're like still doing it. Like the documentary ends and it's like, yeah, like he's still like out there. And they're like, we declined. We reached out to him about talking to us for this documentary, but he told us to fuck off. Like I watched one about some dude that was like selling some kid that was like selling drugs like out of his like bedroom. Like he was on his PC and like accidentally stumbled upon like some weird like deep dark web shit. Next thing you know, he was like slicing and selling cocaine or whatever. And I'm
Jesus.
like, that's really fucked up. And then at the end of the doc, like he's kind of like still out there doing like they reopened the case on him because he's like still out here like doing like mischievous shit. And they're like, that's the end of that story. And I'm like, wait, what? Why is he not in jail? Like I'm so used to these stories ending with like, then he was sentenced to blah blah blah. But a
Yeah,
lot of these stories now are
yeah,
just
no,
like
it's interesting
they're
too.
still out here.
Reminds me a lot of there was a couple influencers like years and years ago. One that pretended to be wheelchair bound to get subs, and another one who pretended and lied. He said he had cancer, and they're still out there streaming under new personas. Like people don't learn if they forget, right? That you have the 2 week with the pitchforks and the riots, and then everyone forgets, and then you can quietly kind of go back in life. And that sounds like what the scammer did. It was like everyone forgot, or he did it in so many different countries it was impossible to prosecute, and then everyone forgot. Now he's coming back in to do a movie now, like statute of
Yeah.
limitations on his crimes or whatever, on his scammings. Well, like, yeah, I mean, if you convince someone to give you money and they give it to you, is that illegal? I guess in the pretext of how you asked for the money.
Yeah, I think it probably would have been the method because again, like he had them taking out like these loans from banks and stuff. It was weird. I don't know. I don't know how much he's actually liable for. I guess not shit if he's
That's
out
probably
here
the problem,
scot
is that
free.
like when you're convincing
But
someone to give you money, you're like, oh, I love you, give me some money, and they give it to you. There's like no crime being committed, like
mhm.
being shisty and being an asshole isn't against the law, But maybe he
Yeah,
was
yeah,
now if he was like fronting a company and asking for investments and doing stuff, I think that can get a little more complicated. But just if I handed you $1, Donovan, like I
yeah, yeah.
can't sue. Like I handed you the dollar, I voluntarily handed you the dollar. That's how that works. Maybe, perhaps, I don't know. Let's get a legal consultant in here, please. We have a special guest
Yeah,
today.
no, right. Legal consultant in here. But yeah, those are my reviews. That's all I really watched this week. Um, uh, if you didn't have anything else, Greg, I guess we can get ready to move forward towards wrapping up. Did we want to do
I saw
a
Encanto.
generation? Oh yeah, you did see it. Yeah, you told me that before you started. Actually, yeah, yeah. We
Yeah.
can go talk about Summon Kanto.
So yeah, I mean, interesting film. Like, so first off, I'll say like I applaud the Disney for doing something different and doing a musical, because doing a musical is hard. Like writing songs that are catchy and people like and enjoy are very difficult.
Lin Lin-Manuel Miranda, man,
Yeah, I mean, so
they're just like the go-to.
I do that. The film has a great use of color. I believe sand and particle effects are what they experimented with here, and dust, because that was a lot of the things with like the flowers exploding and the dust going everywhere. I think that was like their main thing they were trying to do. The thing I didn't like about it is I don't know how I feel about this new modern way of writing animated fairy tales where there is no antagonist. The trailer leads you to believe it's kind of a catfish, that the brother's the villain. Well, the brother's not a villain at all, like not even remotely in the sense, right? So there is no villain in this film, which is very odd to me. Watch especially a Disney film where there's no antagonist. Uh, the stakes are really low. I mean, like low. I mean, we're on the same level of like, well, you might not see that movie on Friday, and if you don't see it, something terrible is going to happen. You're like, what is that? I'm going to miss the movie. Like the stakes, I think the stakes were really low, which was kind of sad. And I'm not a big family guy. Like I'm not close. I'm not really close with my family. I didn't have a big family, so I think a lot of the themes and cultural stuff kind of falls flat for me because I didn't have a lot of brothers and sisters growing up. And overall,
Mhm.
like, it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
sad that she didn't go anywhere. Like, she didn't have a journey, right? She like people have people will argue an emotional journey, I guess, but like she didn't go. She didn't go on to find herself. And we were the ending was so subtle, and so it was so light. My wife and I were kind of stumped. We're like, what was the message? Because spoilers, it's a Disney film. They all get their powers back and everything's perfect. But like, I'm like, what was the message here? Was the message you can still do stuff without powers? Well, everyone got their powers back, so no. Like it was very odd. I think that I mean I applauded it for definitely being different and unique, but I'm not a fan of the non-antagonist writing format, and I wasn't a fan of the. Sorry, I just got my brain farted because I was looking at the different things and all the images came and like the message. Like, what was the message? Don't be
I mean, I
overbearing.
guess
I don't.
I think that it's the fact that I mean like she didn't have powers like her whole family does, like that's like your story there. I guess it's that she learned that she's still special without having them because she thought that her the not having powers made her insignificant, but then when everybody lost their powers she was like the most capable one. So I think she kind of is just learning about herself, self discovery. But
I
I don't know. I
guess,
thought
but normally
I
you
thought
like normally though, like you go out in the world for that, right? Like you move out of your parents' house, you
Mm,
go to college, or you go study abroad. Like that's discovering yourself. You don't stay in the house that you've been living in for 20 years and all of a sudden have an epiphany. And I thought that was kind of a joke. I was like, oh, all of a sudden you just have this realization. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. So there were some things that definitely bugged me. And like out of all the powers, only two of them are really useful. Is the strength because she helps around town and the mom who heals people. Everything else was just kind of like gag powers. Like the weather thing doesn't really do anything. The shape shifting doesn't really help the town at all. So I mean, it was the talking to animals doesn't help the town at all. Like so I was really confused about
mm.
the town dynamic as well. Like, are they the leaders of the town? Like it's not really clear. That, and I also think the story was meant to be much darker than what we got because you can't say die in a Disney movie, right? So they go, my husband disappeared. His guys with machetes pull out and he just fades off like he was killed. Like why did you just say that? You know?
I mean, we can tell. It's not like you don't know
Well, because
what's going
disappeared
on
and
in
it
the scene.
implies that he might come back. Dead means you're gone. Like disappeared means you
Good,
can come back to the thing. That
but I
was
mean,
the
we
thing
see
that
they kill people in Disney movie all the time. They love killing parents and stuff. That's like the oldest trope in their book.
that's true. But do they mention it or do they mention that they're just gone and they
I
don't
don't
show
I
it
don't really
either?
think it.
Right.
I don't know. I never thought it was a big deal. I mean, I knew fucking Mufasa was dead when he was laid out on the ground after getting ran over. But I don't know. Krabs said that's actually a good point. Krabs, you said that these movies are the best thing Disney produces, but I didn't know knew it existed until now. I see Marvel, Star Wars all day. Yeah, that I mentioned that to Greg. I think it might have been before we started stream. That it's just like it was. It's like they didn't market this movie all that much. Like leading up to it, I forgot that it was like a mainline like Disney animated movie. Because I saw a couple ads for it, but not as much as not nearly as much as I see for their other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of the marketing was after it came out, and like we don't talk about Bruno went viral, and like everybody was singing the songs. That's when I felt like a lot of it started to pick up, and most of that was word of mouth. But no, I definitely agree with you where they did not market. I don't think they marketed this movie to the best that they could have. But it's funny. I read a headline this morning that they were adding it to like 1,500 theaters today, so they're definitely trying to push it. And I think it got a Best Song nomination at the Academy Awards. But
Yeah.
I
It's
like
also
I like
yeah.
Encanto a lot.
It's also never explained why she didn't hit her powers. Like it just that's it,
Sometimes
there's
you don't.
yeah, but like where was like what was the payoff, right? Like that's the question, right? It's the payoff was like that's we sat with our eyebrows raised out the credits rolled because we're like trying to dissect the film because usually Disney films are pretty straightforward, you know. Don't be an arrogant asshole, don't steal, don't murder people, don't try to gripe for power. Like their themes are really clear and they're really black and white. This one was so light, so theme light. It was maybe we were looking for something that wasn't there, where it was just like, oh yeah, just keep living your life and be supportive. That's the theme, and you're like where was the, I guess, the conflict, right? That's the thing I think because there was really no conflicts. It was just like, oh, we have this problem, and the enemy is time. In this case, it wasn't even time. It was their house might die. But then the enemies
Mm,
built another
I,
one. So you're like, well, why were they worried if they were just going to build another house? I don't know. Maybe I'm just
oh,
dissecting it way too much.
I think you might be. I might be with Krabs on this one, where it's just was a movie you got to enjoy was the payoff. But I know I liked the animation a lot. Very good looking. Um, I love the representation in it. I love they had like Afro Latinos in there, which I know that was like a big criticism in the Heights. How they did South American representation there. So I don't know. I dug it. It was
Well,
very good. I like all that stuff that they
it was
do.
super diverse. I mean, like I think the only people they didn't have in the movie were white people, which is completely fine because we've been in movies for hundreds of years. So it's nice to get that minorities
It's
to get into the
they've
films.
they've been doing pretty decent with that stuff. I know they've got Turning Red, which is very Asian American focused, coming out this year. But I know folks are upset where they moved that from like theaters to Disney Plus, and I think that one's actually Pixar. Um, but But yeah, no, I dug it. More of this. I'm with Krabs, where I'm like a lot of the Disney animated stuff is still very good. I think they shoot a very high percentage on their original animation studio stuff. So I'm into it.
Like in
I
the
am into
party
it.
scenes, especially like every shot has almost every ethnicity but white. You're like, holy crap! Like it's a lot. Like it's really diverse. Like it was that impressed me too. I was like, wow, they're really trying to be inclusive to everyone in this film. So,
Yeah, they do quite a good job with that stuff, I'd say. Greg, do you want to do some generational gap potentially?
uh, sure. I don't have any questions. I didn't do questions today. Sorry.
No, you're good. I can always just hit you with some on the fly if you'd like.
Yeah, you can hit me
Um,
on the fly.
okay, Greg, here's a question for you. Actually, I'll explain. I'll do a quick explainer for folks. If you don't know, Generational Gap Challenge is something we like to do here to end our show on Pop Goes the Culture every week. Greg and I, we grew up with different eras of entertainment and pop culture. Um, so because of that, we have very different favorites, different knowledge on shows and movies and stuff like that. We like to quiz each other to end our show every week. I'll ask him stuff about my generation. He'll ask me stuff about the movies and shows of his generations, and we'll just see how it goes. I got a couple questions here, one or two that I might ad lib, uh, and then we'll see. If you don't have anything, that's fine. If you do, that's great. But Greg, are you ready for your first question?
Yes, I'm ready for my first question.
Can you name one TV show that crossed over with Hannah Montana?
Nope.
On
Next
the
question.
TV channel. There were.
Oh wait,
I'll
hold
give you a
on.
hint.
Wait. Everyone loves Josh or whatever.
No. There were about five.
Your side eye was just like, ugh.
There
Was
were.
it like everyone likes Josh, right? Whatever. Everyone hates Josh. What was the move? You know what I'm talking about, right? Like, what's it?
I'm afraid that you're conflating two different shows. Neither of them aired on Nickelodeon, or neither of them aired on Disney Channel. um,
Drake Bell, right? Wasn't he like? Is he
you're
canceled
you're
now? Isn't he canceled?
you're thinking of Drake and Josh, which is on Nickelodeon, not Disney Channel. And is Drake canceled? I mean, I don't know. You told me he was
I
flirting with a minor and
I
trying
don't.
to fly one out. So, I
People get
mean,
canceled for
you
less.
whatever whatever you call that. Um, but no, Greg, that wasn't on that network. There were five different shows, I believe, four or five different shows that crossed over with Hannah Montana at some point during their run. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
well, Greg, that's a shame. I'm going to name a few for you. A big one that I thought you might guess just for the hell of it. That's So Raven. That's So Raven crossed over with Hannah Montana. They did a big, they did a big crossover event. It was like a 3 episode thing where it was like Hannah Montana, That's So Raven, Zack and Cody, and I was like, That's So Raven was like the tentpole Disney show in the early 2000s, and they were kind of like two ships passing, like just as That's So Raven was about to go off the air, Hannah Montana was firing up. But they crossed over. They were at the same like hotel in like Zack and Cody, and they were together, and they were like Raven was like doing like fashion designing stuff for Hannah Montana was great, and then Hannah Montana also crossed over with Wizards of Waverly Place. She did Sweet Life on Deck. It was cool. Disney crossovers were good back in the day. They used to do some cool stuff. Um,
Empty Nest, Major Dad, Walker Texas Ranger, Melrose Place, Tales from the Crypt, Dream On, All in the Family,
hey,
Hey
he's
Dude,
given
Alias, Bones, CSI, CSI Miami, CSI LA, CSI New
Oh,
York,
man.
CSI Las Vegas. It's Vegas, isn't it? I, I just keep naming
man.
shows until I'm out of shows, and I'll be like, no. Absolutely not.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, Greg, your second question. Are you ready? This one I'm actually very excited to talk about. This early 2000s animated show saw a bunch of popular Disney characters running and dining at a very popular theater dinner club.
Oh, this wasn't
downtown.
a show though, right? This was like a
It was a show.
it had a pretense of a show, but it just played reruns. Like it was like a variety show. It was the House of Mouse, right?
It yeah, this is Disney House of Mouse. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I get my victory thing for that. Where's the thing? Where is it?
Yeah. I I loved House of Mouse. It aired in '01 until '03, very short-lived. But it was a spin-off of the popular short-lived Mickey Mouse Works. So it was a lot of Mickey Mouse Work shorts, but it was also a lot of brand new shorts that they would do.
Yeah, it was a
Goofy
variety
Donald
show. So
Duck.
like, yeah, you took place in
Yeah,
like a theater, and then you do like they'd be like, and they'd go in and out. They'd act like they're running cartoons. They'd be like, now I'm going to show you this, and sometimes it'd be reruns, and
yeah,
sometimes it'd be something original, and it was interesting. It was a variety show. One of they were trying to
yeah.
rekindle the Disney afternoon that you missed during the good old '90s days.
Yeah. I guess it wasn't a big success. It only lasted for 2 years, but I quite liked it. I would just love it. Like I remember you'd come in, like they'd bring the camera in and you'd see like Hercules would be sitting there and it'd be like characters from The Lion King and Mickey Mouse would be walking down. It was so cool. And just like looking back from an animation standpoint, like there was a lot of like going on. Like it was a very busy show, like just animation wise, a lot of characters on screen. I always really dug Disney's House of Mouse. All right, Greg, you're one for two. Um, okay. Last question. Are you ready for it?
Three's Three's Company. Three's Company's another show, right?
All right, Greg. Are you ready for your third and
I'm ready for
final?
my third and final question.
In the 2005 movie Chicken Little, what was, uh, well, Chicken Little, the character? What was he so concerned about? What was he trying to warn everybody about? What was the big incident? What was his issue?
The
You
sky
remember?
was falling.
It's true.
That's because
That's
it's based on a book, and I read the book in elementary school.
Oh, there you go. Well, I hesitated because it's true, but I was gonna further specify, but that wouldn't have been fair. I was gonna make you ask I was gonna ask you how did he know this guy's falling because like the thing falls on his head when he's playing baseball, but that's not fair. But yeah, I really like Chicken Little. I did not know it was a book, but I really like.
Oh man, you didn't know it was a book? Oh, that
I know I didn't know
damn,
Chicken Little was a book.
that's not your fault. That's the public school system failing you. That's
I
ridiculous.
mean, we read books in school, just not that one, I guess. But you know
The
what's funny?
lesson
Is I
was
think
like
we
don't
watched Chicken
lie.
Little
Like
at
that
some
was
point.
like a don't lie, and it's not like there were a bunch of different lessons in that book. Like obviously don't lie. Not everything is as it seems. Like do your research, check. You know what I mean? Like the movie was a lot more convoluted than the book was.
Oh
Because
yeah,
the book, the sky
it's
really wasn't falling. In the movie, it ends up like something else happens, but it's big adventure climatic.
it was like
Yeah,
aliens, like
yeah,
it was
yeah. They don't do
mhm.
that in the book. Book is really
Yeah,
cute.
they go all the way, but that's the whole thing in the movie. It's like he's playing baseball, something like falls on his head, like what he thinks is like it's like a piece of the sky falls on his head while he's playing baseball. And he's like, oh shit, like the sky's falling, and he goes around town. He's like, the sky's falling, and no one believes him. And then at some point, like all hell breaks loose, and like these like weird alien things start like invading this town, and then it turns out he was right. Um, I quite liked Chicken Little as a kid. I was 7 when
I'm
it came
just
out, so I
really
was like
sad that you
perfect
didn't realize it
demographic.
was a book. Like how, how did you not?
Yeah, no.
I'm really
Maybe
sad that
they
your
might have
first
taken.
rendition of that is Zach Braff being Chicken Little. That makes me very sad.
They...
That makes me very
They
sad.
might... Hey man, let's give Zach Braff some love here. But no, it's I don't know. I really liked it. I think it was good for what it was at my age. I quite liked Chicken Little. I thought I liked the songs in it. They had like "Tell Me What You Want," like a remix of it. This movie made $300 million. Jesus Christ, that's a lot. I was thinking to my head, I was like, this movie didn't do too well, did it? Did
Well,
very well.
you know what I say about movies that make a lot of money? It's like that's correct. They made a lot of money. They make lots of money.
But that's the thing though. Like this one made a lot of money, and it wasn't even like the next big franchise. They didn't make like four Chicken Little sequels. Like Chicken Little was kind of one and done.
Well,
Maybe they did like a direct to DVD sequel, but
well, one of the things that in especially in Hollywood when it comes to kids films, like specifically kid targeted films, is you got to remember that you can't drop your 6-year-old off alone at the movie theater. You have to go with them. And families were pretty big when that came out. So you're looking at families of minimum the nuclear family of like 4 or 5. So now you have one of the parents has to take all 3 kids to the film. So that's 4 tickets. Even though, so this is an algorithm that I've seen before in different genres of films based on time release and the demographic. It's insane, man. So like they anticipate that. So like the average cost of a ticket for a kids film is like 5 times that of like an R-rated film, which is why they didn't make a lot of R-rated films, because you would take your whole family to see it, right? It's family film, everyone can enjoy. That's what they say, but a lot of those movies are just kid-centric. But you get what I'm saying. Just interesting fun fact today on today's show, because a lot of people say I don't know what I'm talking about, but I do. I've spent 5 years in the industry. It sucks.
Crab's like, no, people definitely drop their kids off at the movies for the entire day. There are multiple unattended kids in my showing of Midsummer at 10 p.m.
Not a 6-year-old. You don't do that to like 6 to 10. Maybe when they're 13, sure, but not, or 12. Even that's pushing it. Like.
I get it. It's just for me, like when I think of Chicken Little, it reminds me of a very specific era of movies and just of my own childhood experience, like '05. Like I was 7 years old. I think of like movies like Barnyard, a lot of like the Pixar movies that age, even like Shrek 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was a very specific era for me, seeing movies. Like I used to see like a lot of these movies I would see with my dad. Like my dad was very tolerable of like children's animated movies. He would even like he always enjoyed them. Like it's something that always stuck out. Even as like a kid, I always thought that was very like interesting. Like my dad would like be laughing his ass off watching like Jimmy Neutron or like Back at the Barnyard, like these like stupid. Even I knew it like at 7 or 8 years old. I was like that's weird. Like it's cool that like he's at least not suffering watching this show. But yeah, it was like one of the many of that era for me.
All right, so I'm real fast though. I want to do a speed round because you gave me one of the shows that crossed over with Hannah Montana, or was it Miley Cyrus? What was the show again? I always get those two confused for Hannah Montana. So I'm gonna speed round, and when I hit one, you tell me to stop. Okay. Okay. Ready? SpongeBob SquarePants, The Loud House, It's Pony, Camp Coral, The Patrick Show, Rugrats.
You're naming.
Tyler Perry's Dylan, Danger Force, Side Hustle, Drama Club, The Barbarian and the Troll, The Girl Lele, Warped, Are You Afraid of the Dark,
Greg,
Nickelodeon's Unfiltered, Tuned In, The
You're
Substitute.
on the wrong channel. You're on the wrong channel.
I'm on Nickelodeon. I know, what's the joke? What's the joke, Donovan? Try to keep up with this.
Oh no.
That's how out of touch I am.
I was like, I can't tell when you're kidding or not, because earlier you were like drinking John.
Monster High, Transformers Earthspark, Adventure at Wonder Park, Man of the House, Meet the Foxels, Unlimited, Garfield series, Phoebe and the Unicorn, Real Pigeons Fight Crime, Max and Midnights, The Tiny Chef Show.
Surprisingly, I don't know most of the shows you're naming. Like I probably recognize like 4 of the titles you've said. A lot of these I think are newer. I know The Loud House is very new.
Okay, Doug, Rugrats, The Ren and Stimpy Show, Rockers Modern Life, Oliver Monsters, Harold, Kablam, The Angry Beavers, Cat Dog, Oh Yeah Cartoons, The Wild Thornberry, Rocket Power, Invaders Zim, The Fairly Odd Parents, Chalk Zone, All Grown Up, My Life as a Teenage Robot, Danny Phantom, Avatar: Last Airbender, Cat Scratch, The Exorcist, El Tiger, The Adventures of Manny Revere, Talk and the Power of Juju, Back in the Backyard, The Mighty Bee, The Penguins of Madagascar, Fanboy of Control, Planet Sheem, Tough Puppy, Winx Club, Kung Fu Panda, Legend of Awesomeness, Legend of Korra, Robot the Monster, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Monsters with Aliens, Saja vs. Clegg, Breadwinners, Harvey Briggs, Pig Goat, Banana Cricket, Bustin' is a Beast, Welcome to Rain, The Adventures of Kid Danger, Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and finally, The Middle School Moogles.
You named some damn good TV shows in there.
I don't know any of those. Way past my time.
When you started talking about like Mighty Bee, Last Airbender, you're talking about some golden era 2000s Nickelodeon for a minute there. But yeah, those are, you did pretty well. Those are my 3. You got 2 out of 3. That's commendable.
Double Dare, Finders Keepers, Think Fast. I can't think of any more right now on the top of my head.
That's it's funny because I could tell you were reading them in chronological order, so like I could tell when you were getting to like the worst shows in the list. Like once you got out of like my era, when you started talking like Planet Sheen, I was like, all right, we can get out of here.
Yeah, like we talk about like not everything can be an instant hit, right? I mean, you got to throw some stuff at the wall. I mean, sometimes it fails spectacularly, and sometimes it finds its audience 10 years later, and sometimes it's a huge hit. But like, I think the huge hit ones are dangerous because, for example, like American Idol. I hate that show, but like
You're not a fan of American Idol.
It was huge. Like it was like everyone had to watch it. Like everyone had to watch the show, and like, but it had burnout. Like it was like it climbs so fast. Asif says this all the time. The only place it goes now is down. Like once you peak, once you've gotten to that, like there's only so many people on the planet, right? And like once that hits that, it just goes down.
I loved American Idol back when everybody loved it. I loved it back when it was like the biggest show on television. Again, as a kid, like 2000s, I remember every season like I'd watch with like my mom, my dad, like my grandmother, my brother. Like we would watch the auditions. We'd like all sit there and like laugh our asses off at like the people that couldn't sing, or we'd like root for people. Like You're Going to Hollywood, Simon Cowell, Paula Abdul, Randy Jackson. Like that was all like very, vivid memories of watching Full House. But I don't know. I liked a lot of those very big reality shows, even like Survivor back in the day. All shows that, like you said, like fell way off the wagon. Like they brought Survivor back, they brought American Idol back, a shell of what they once were,
Yeah.
because entertainment has far surpassed them, and I think people's taste in entertainment has far surpassed that.
Oh,
But
people
you
watch
can't
The
take away
Voice
that like,
too.
but still though, like the Voice still like evolved like the American Idol's format into something else. But I still say that like you can't take away the fact that like American Idol, Survivor, like they kind of created the blueprint for what so much of reality TV became. Even the shows that I guess dwarf it in comparison nowadays, but that was certainly an era. Greg, you're going to Hollywood.
Yeah, the American Idol stuff really bugged me though for a long time because it was just like the thing is like you don't believe me when I say this, but all reality TV aside from like 1 or 2 seasons or something underground is all scripted. It's all there's all story editors, right? So if you're on an American Idol show, right, and your job is to find talent, why are you like mean spirited letting these people who clearly can't sing
Because it's
on
funny
your
as
show?
shit.
But that's the thing, though, right? Like
Good.
they'll put them on and
God's
be
going.
funny. It's mean spirited. I thought it was mean spirited. I'm like, why
Okay.
would you put this
You know,
person in front of everybody, just knowing he can't sing, and then make fun of
okay.
him? You know, it just was dumb.
Okay. Wait. Here's the thing. It is mean spirited, but also like just a lot of entertainment was mean. A lot of reality entertainment was mean spirited,
Mm-hmm.
like in the '90s and early 2000s, because it just the society wasn't where it is today. But I mean, the thing is, if you want to be technical about it, I mean, if somebody can't sing and they bring them on the show because they suck and they suck on the show, that's thousands, maybe millions of people that would have never in their lifetime listened to them sing. Like that's exposure they would have never gotten anywhere. I mean, yeah, it probably didn't amount to a career, but
That's what a lot
that's
of them
more than
didn't
they
get
were.
paid very well either. It was like how big how big that show was, how much money it made. A lot of the people did not get paid fairly. Like it was really skewed.
I know, I'm sure, and it goes to Chris's point. But yeah, I mean, reality TV is exploitation. Yeah, I mean that's it.
Yeah.
It's exploitation. That's why it's so many people's guilty pleasure because a lot of it is people being made fun of, people suffering, people being crapped on in one way or another. But yeah.
I watched that
I
Sexy Beast show, by the way, with my wife.
I couldn't. I
She
wasn't gonna
hates
watch.
that show. She's like, all of them are gonna be pretty. I was like, how do you know? Because you can't fix fat. That's what she said. Like, because like they put them in makeup, right? But you can still see like their
Yeah, they have
body
like
type.
they have like movie level prosthetics on them.
Yeah,
or
but you
whatever.
can still
Yeah.
see like their body. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to talk about personality, like Nicole's like, get some big girls in there. You know what I mean? That's what she says. Like what? I
Crab
can say
said
that.
sex. Crab
Sexy
said
Beast.
sexy beast is fucking awesome. Then he says, "Oh wait, this might not be what I'm thinking."
This is not the same thing. This is not the one you find on 4chan, Chris. This is something different.
Oh god. Yeah. Only God knows what Krabs was referring to there. But yeah. But Greg, I mean, you shot 2 for 3. That was good. Oh, so he's talking about a movie called Sexy Beast. I've never heard of a movie called Sexy Beast, but
Oh, I got one. I can just throw some at you randomly if you want. I got one for you.
sure. Yeah, if you've got some questions to give me, go ahead.
All right, so we'll stick with it. So we'll stick with the terrible Chip and Dale film. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers is part of a group called the Rescue Rangers. Can you name any other than the 3 Rescue Rangers other than Chip and Dale?
Yeah, they had that pelican, right, with the big mouth. What's his name?
The group was 6 members, or 5 members, and 2 of them are Chip and Dale. There's 3 other members officially. The pelican was just a friend.
Krabs, I'll have to watch it at some point. I still need to brush up on Firestorm. It's interesting. I remember there was like a bird. I'm pretty sure one of them was like a bird. That doesn't inspire confidence.
Wow,
Okay,
that's terrible.
one of them was a skunk.
What?
Right?
What? What?
Why are you the way that you
Was
are?
there a dog? A
Skunk?
cat?
Honestly, every time I try to do something fun or
I'm just
exciting,
naming animals, man. But in
I
my
can't
head,
do
I
it.
can
But
see
that's
like
no. I mean, what are their names?
there was
I'm
like a
asking for the
pelican.
animals. It was 4 mice
oh that
and a
Oh, it's 4
fly.
mice,
But what
really?
were their names? There were 2 other mice and a fly. What were their names?
Oh, that's not good. I don't know.
It's funny because you see them in the trailer for like 2 seconds, and then it's just Chip and Dale. So
Well, as I said during that trailer, I was like, I don't know Chip and Dale. Like all I know is that they were like chipmunk characters that had the show. Like I didn't watch.
right. So there's
Rescue
no
Rangers was not my.
so there's no comparison for you for that trailer. That's why I'm like, look at how trash fire this is. You're like, oh, it looks okay, because like you don't have any. There's no basis for comparison. You know.
But I mean, I know people that have seen the original that also thought the trailer looked good. I don't think that's the entire story.
They're probably on drugs. Just kidding.
No, no, Greg. No,
A
it's not how
little
that works.
PCP LCD.
No.
This movie looks
Uh,
amazing. The TV's off.
um, TV's off. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go. So you said Chip and Dale. I'm gonna go with Cookie and Flapjack.
Wow. Wow. So Chip and Dale were the leaders of the Rescue Rangers. Monterey Jack was their muscle.
Oh, I know Monterey Jack.
Monterey Jack, and they had Gadget, which was, of course, like their Q, their M, their person who made all their vehicles and their tools, right? To help.
Greg, I googled
mysteries.
Monterey Jack and I'm just seeing cheese.
That's his name. That's the funny thing. That's what makes it funny. Is it's a mouse named after a cheese. Like, come on, man. It doesn't get any more corny than that. It's great, you know.
Oh yeah, he was in the trailer. Okay, I knew
Yeah,
this,
for like
I knew
short,
this
for like
was
short, for like
Peter
his gag in the
Cullen,
show was like he would
something.
always, if he smelled cheese, he would like go into a trance and like they'd have to try to pull him out of it. So like it would get in.
Okay.
It was lighthearted. It was funny. They didn't treat it like an opium den like they did in the trailer. But anyway, yeah. So that, and then there was Zipper, who was like the mascot and sidekick, who got him out of a lot of situations. He's almost like, I want to say he's like the stealth ninja of the group, because when they always got captured, or if they needed to send a message, like Zipper could fly, so he would fly. And Zipper didn't talk. Zipper only would buzz. He actually didn't have words that he talked. So. Can someone clip that?
That's
Big
that's
3 Rescue Rangers. Damn it.
that's a good question. No, that's a good one. One that I had no fucking clue the answer was, but that's a good one. Okay. What's what do you got any other ones to toss at me, or what's up?
Oh wow, that was a good one. Why am I looking at the? I don't want to look at the YouTube channel any more than I already have to. Hold on, let me click off of this. So much management. No, I think that's it. We'll call that 1, 2, or 3. Name one. Name one more. Name one more. Name one more.
It's like the one you did with the Animaniacs, where I had to like name their friends, and I was like, I got Pinky in the Brain though, so that was good on that one. All right.
You
Well,
went
I
around
mean,
like
great.
the 90s was a glorious time because it was so many people, like Netflix now with original series, they were throwing so much at the wall as they possibly could. And once in a while you'd get a gem, right? You'd get that Rescue Ranger show, or you'd get Gargoyles, or you'd get The Simpsons, or whatnot, you know. But then there's all these catastrophic, awful failures like Dino Saucers, and Dino Saucers is so bad it's good. Biker Mice from Mars. You get all these like really oddball Street Sharks. They did not strike that everlasting everlasting chord. But they tried so many things. Captain Planet, right? You know Captain Planet.
Yeah, I know Captain Planet.
Biker Mice from Mars. Yeah, King Krabs is like, yep. Captain Planet. Yeah, Captain Planet was. But like for every like one Captain Planet, there's like 3 that are terrible. Do you remember Mummies Alive? That's a late 90s one. A lot of these.
Missed that one. But I mean, hey, with the conclusion of the Generational Gap Challenge, it's about time to wrap up our little program here. Greg, it was fun as always. Had some very exciting, interesting topics to talk about here. And I'm sure there's a million of other things that we didn't get to, but it's all right. Also enjoyed reviews. Good chatting with you about all that stuff too. Also some great convo in chat. Thank you, Krabs. Super engaging. Denny, I saw TJ in here earlier. Squires, everyone that dropped in, follow, very much appreciated. Thank you. Saw Ryan at the very beginning. Very much appreciated, guys. Again, I am Donovan Erskine. That's Greg Burke. This was Shacknews Presents Pop Goes the Culture. We will be back next Thursday with the 55th episode of this episode. Of the show. 55th episode of the show. And following that, we'll have our next movie night the following Friday. So thank you very much. Stay tuned. And we will see you guys next time.
But I still want to talk. Wait. Oh no.